We've looked at the kit, we've looked at the aftermarket, so now let's talk about reference. Hello and welcome to Model Kit Stuff. Today I've got a little video just finishing off the little series we've done around the Sd.Kfz 222. We've looked at the Tamiya kit from the 70s, we've looked at resin and photo etch that can be applied to the kit, and now what I wanted to do was just quickly talk about reference material. Now in this day and age it's really easy to go and find images, particularly of restored vehicles, on the internet, and they can be really helpful, but there's an element of risk to that, which is that you don't necessarily know the historical context of what you're looking at. Particularly on restored vehicles, they can do shortcuts, they can change out things, they can make mistakes most genuinely, so there's all sorts of risks there. So finding period photographs is really important, and then you need to understand production runs, the year of the photograph, you know, is the caption that's on the photograph correct, where was it taken, all of that sort of stuff. So it's still really handy to try and find some form of reference resource where all of that's been put together, made sense of, and there's enough material in that one source for you to pull together your particular modelling project. Now this is for people who, I'm trying to avoid the term rivet counters, but for people who want to make as accurate a model as they possibly can. And there's various degrees of that. There are some people that want to scratch build and really refine it as much as possible, and there's other people who just want to make sure that they've got the historical context of what they're building correct, and there's other people who just want to read around the subject and immerse themselves in it. But these range of publications, nuts and bolts, have been around for quite some time now, and they are a stalwart for the modeler. They really get widely used by people who want to try and super detail or make as accurate as possible their models. So I thought today we'd have a look at this one, which is aimed at the Sd.Kfz 222. As you can see, I've got a fairly detailed modelling project coming up, focused around this vehicle, and we're going to use the nuts and bolts as its reference. So let's take a look. What we've got is an A4 sort of magazine, really. You couldn't call it a book. It's a magazine type format. The nuts and bolts, they come in various thicknesses. Now I've only got two of them. The other one I've got is around the famo, and it's at least double the thickness of this. So it does largely depend. They're not cheap either. This was about £25. The one I've got on the famo was a similar price. So shop around. I tend to buy them second hand, and then when I've finished with them, sell them on, because they retain their value. So yeah, let's have a look. We open up. Well, it tells us on the front, sorry, there's a nice image of two versions of the vehicle in one shot. So we've got the communications one here with the aerial on, which is collapsible and folds down, and the one without the aerial. Tells us it's volume 4, which means it's the fourth one in the series, and it gives us the name of the people that pulled this publication together. And then when we open it, we start off with a little bit of history. It tells us the origins of this armoured car series are to be found in the Sd.Kfz 13 and 14. So we're talking about a light armoured car here. It tells you about the basic types here, gives you some origins of photographs, acknowledgements, bibliography, before we get into it. And a feature is lots and lots of black and white photographs which focus in on various details, and then each photograph's got a caption in English and in German telling you what it is you're focusing on. So, for example, a restored vehicle usually found at the Auto Technic Museum, Sinheim. Unfortunately, there are certain errors in the restoration, i.e. rain guards, grenade rack position, etc. So it's telling you what to look out for there, but from this photograph you can see all sorts of details quite sharply. So they have top-down photographs. We've got focusing on, you can see that the tyres here, the lamps, the brackets underneath the mud guards, the towing hook, the little armoured plate protective piece. Got a nice close-up of the vision port here with no rain guard. We can see the handbrake system really closely there, so that's a bit that's moulded on the actual Tamiya model, so you might want to take that off and put some wire on, and that's where these books become really handy. So you can also see parts of it stripped down. So here, this is where the tow rope gets wound. Now on the Tamiya model, they're not sure what to do with it, and they wrap it around the front bumper. But you could put this on and wrap it around there. So some parts that you might want to fabricate. And again, we can see the handbrake cable there. Talking here about the rear plate. So this is a hinged louvre plate, but a lot of them have this cover on, which is welded on in several places. So you can see the locations of the weld, so you can emulate that if you want. And it'll tell you in here how that works. So that was on later versions. We can see the exhaust here, the little cover for the outlet of the exhaust, and the hatches. We can see repaired damage to a mudguard. You can see how it's all been welded up. We don't know whether that was done in the museum or in the field, so you have to be a little bit careful, but it can give you some ideas. Some close-ups of the bracket again, of the handbrake again. Some of the functioning underneath, the springs. Nice close-up of the inside of the wheel hub, underside of the engine. So looking up there, you can see that the timing chain is missing, which is probably a rubber chain anyway, but gives you a nice close-up of that. And the suspension there, close-up of the wheels plus the sidewall information, nice close-up of the mesh, which we have photo etch replacement for, and again a top-down scene. You've got big gaps in there, so you can spend time making sure you've got no gaps, and actually you've done a better job than the original, so that's why these are really interesting. Then we're looking at the gun and the range finding equipment with it. Fascinating. Looking in the turret with no grenade protection on, so you can look right in there, which is really handy. And again, this mesh, diamond shaped mesh. Then we're inside looking at some of the interior detail. So what you got inside of the vision ports, some of the location points for gas mask canisters and the like. So there isn't much detail in the Tamiya kit, so this gives scratch builders the opportunity to put their own interior detail in if they wish. Lots and lots of different photographs of the inside from different angles, really very, very handy. And the engine there. And then when we're finished with these photographs, we go to some technical drawings. The drawings are all in 1/35 scale, which makes that really helpful when you want to get things correct, and if you want to check if things are oversized. So these things, for example, all right, okay, I can see that's oversized on the plastic part, so I'll replace it with some wire. That sort of thing. Then we've got some more photographs, some of them showing damage, which is handy. It can give you some inspirations on what to do if you want to add some realism to it. This is your mounting point for the spare wheel. Even damaged exhausts, which is interesting, isn't it? This one's had quite a battering, but you can see it's still in running order effectively. So, yeah. We've tried to take a photograph of everything, so whatever it is you're modelling, you can look at. This one has the advantage of having the dashboard in place. Magazine holders. And then we've got another technical drawing, this time the one with the aerials, and they show you how the aerial claps down, it sort of folds down. And some more internal photographs of the radio set frames. And that is it. Couple of adverts there at the back for other ones they do, and that is it. That is typically what you get in one of these publications. So with this, we've got everything we need to take the Tamiya kit and move it to an additional level. This is all reference stuff that you can trust, but you can go onto the internet and you can find more photographs and then cross-reference them. So the disadvantage of this series is they tend to be in black and white, but with a lot of restored and museum vehicles being repainted, you're not losing much other than perhaps a little bit of sharpness and understanding it within the photograph. But I think these are really handy books. Like I say, they're not cheap, but if you use them for a reference for a project and then move them on to someone else who wants them, and there's quite a circulation of second-hand ones, you can often pick them up at model shows and things like that at a good price. So I think they're handy references. If you've not used the nuts and bolts publications before, it gives you an understanding of what you get, but this is a real nice deep review of the subject, and it's all in one publication, and you could just use that for your reference material if you wanted. I tend to add to it, so if I'm going to do something particularly in the African campaign, I might look at images of it in African campaign and try and understand paint schemes a little bit more and how things have weathered, chipped and got damaged and that type of thing. But this is a rock solid in-depth detailed starting point, because most photographs that you find on the internet are from the outside. It's very difficult to get the inside look, and when you do, it's restored and there's often stuff missing. So there you go, have it. That's the nuts and bolts, focusing on the Sd.Kfz 222, which finishes up our little season of 3 videos focused on that model. Hope that was useful. You enjoy your modelling, and I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.